we invented gunpowder. Right? And that's the thing, Asians are smart, we invent things, we don't take credit. That's why you know the Chinese invented gunpowder, you don't know who. Right? Might have been a guy named Who. We don't take credit. White people are the opposite. You guys invent shit and you take credit. It started when you were a kid. Like even if you draw a fucked up looking picture and your parents be like, oh my God, Trevor, that's so amazing. You're so amazing. Let me put it on the fridge. But meanwhile, some Asian kid made that fridge. You don't even know his name. There's no Asian kid named Kenmore.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Chinatown 2.0, a show about Chinese immigrants thriving. I'm your host, Richard Yan. Today I interviewed Peng Dang. He is a stand-up comedian. He speaks impeccable English, despite having come to the US from China after the age of 20. And more importantly, he tells jokes like a local. I'll show you what I mean by showing clips of his comedy throughout today's video. I find his comedy set fun, educational, and wholesome. I'm not sure if any comedian wants to hear wholesome as a way to describe their set, but I do mean it as a compliment. We talked about how his English got so good, what he does to hone his comedic skills, what life was like for him in Alabama, Atlanta, and Texas, where he's spent a substantial amount of his time, and his interactions with well-known comedians in the US. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode. Let's dive right in. But speaking of this blue material, I have thoroughly enjoyed some of the dirtier jokes you've told, if they are even considered dirty. Like you would say 手套 is hand condom, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that's the only one that I can actually recall. Generally, I find your jokes to be sort of educational.
Okay.
There's one other one. You were saying, I think you're talking about how a stripper would sing the Chinese alphabet, and
Yeah.
and you're like acting out, like dancing on the stripper pole and something. But I guess my question is, how do you deal with blue material? It feels like you hold yourself back a little bit. You don't stoop to the same level as these other comedians where they say much dirtier things. How do you handle yourself?
I was much dirtier. Starting out. But
Okay.
yeah, as I told you, I was trying, because there's a lot of clubs in Dallas. I'm trying to get works. I was trying to get club works to be an open act. It stand out more if you were clean. So I was forcing myself to write clean jokes, develop a whole act.
I see.
With just clean materials.
Are you generally considered a better comedian if you have given the same quality of jokes, if you are cleaner versus dirtier? Like everything else being equal, you're cleaner. Like in that case, are you considered a better comedian?
No, I mean, who's the right person to judge? I can't give you that kind of answer. I think it's easier to go from clean to dirty. It's harder to clean up your dirty material. If you want to get on TV, right? You want to do a 5-minute set, 10-minute set, a late night show.
Yeah.
You're gonna be TV clean. You expect you to be TV clean, and there's lots of restrictions.
Yeah. How do you reconcile the difference? I'm asking this, by the way, because I went to a few open mics here in the Bay Area. I'm actually kind of turned off because every single comic that goes up there is just dirty. Like the other day, some guy was talking about how imagining monkeypox on his dick. And then he started to draw a picture, mentally about how that works. And it's just such the disturbing image. And sorry, it's now being implanted in your head. But why do you think the people in the bar generally enjoy dirtier material more than, let's say, the average TV watcher?
I mean, for TV, it's usually family, right? You guys rating.
Okay.
I mean, there's rules. I'm not really familiar with how rating works in America.
Yeah.
There's kids watching, right? You can't turn on the TV. They're talking about dicks and balls.
Yeah.
Right. Bars, of course, you got to be at least 21 to get in. So it's more mature crowd.
But even for Netflix, though, right? You know how in Netflix you can create an account just for mom and dad, and then the kids would have a separate account? So I assume you would be able to sample much dirtier material for your own taste in Netflix if you wanted
Of
to.
course,
The shows from the big names, the comedy shows, they're generally pretty clean. Like even if they have dick jokes, it's like say
mm,
2 out of 10 jokes. You know?
it's okay if you have some dirty materials, but I appreciate more, intellectual stuff.
Yeah.
If intelligent jokes, jokes that are well written. Even if it's a dirty joke, I want to see something different. I want to see your unique perspective.
Do you get a lot of Chinese speaking audience members?
Very rare, very rare.
Okay, rare. Interesting. What about other performers of similar ethnic background as you?
Very rare in Texas. Very rare.
So, Peng, let's get into your background. How did you decide to do comedy? How did your English get so good? How are you so plugged into American culture?
Well, first of all, it's Peng.
Oh, you say Peng. Okay, okay, all right.
I go by Peng.
You're
Yeah.
not a sellout. Good.
No, I'm not trying to say that, but it's a habit. I used to just accept it whenever people call me Ping. I'm like, all right, whatever you
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
I think if you just stick to it and you just tell them, educate them how you pronounce my name, it leaves a better first impression. Sometimes I think it's that people remember you more.
It's like that jerk that corrected my pronunciation. Turns out to be a nice guy after all.
Yeah,
Chinese people, we got to build railroad from California all the way to Utah. And after we finished the railroad, they told the Chinese workers to walk back to California. Yeah, and they call it Orient Express. They call that train Orient Express, and there's no Oriental people on that fucking train. Right. That's like ordering an orange chicken, and you get all the chicken. There's no orange. You're like, that's a scam. Yeah, you kind of scammed us with Orient Express, so we scam you back with Panda Express.
All right, Peng. Yeah. How did you get into comedy? How did your English get so good? And how did you familiarize yourself with American culture?
I was in Atlanta. I started comedy there. Did my first open mic. Invited a bunch of my coworkers to the open mic. It wasn't even a good set, but they really laughed. I mean, they fake laughed. I don't know. It sounded like I had a good set.
Yeah.
So that really helped my confidence. And I was like, hell yeah, I can do this. This is easy. That wasn't easy at all. I was so nervous. I remember like practicing, just talking to my phone for like 200 times, at least 200 times, just recording and like listen to myself. Practicing the same set, a 5 minute set for like 200 times. It wasn't easy at all. It wasn't easy.
Practice makes perfect. Yeah. Well, what about your accent? Did you speak good English before you came to the States? Because you moved here when you were 21 or 22, right?
25 actually. I moved here when I was 25. Yeah. I didn't have much of an accent even when I was in China.
And you were in Changsha at the time?
Yeah, I was in Changsha at the time. We moved to Changsha uh, from Xinjiang. We didn't have any English class, but I moved to Changsha. They already have English classes.
How old were you when you moved from Xinjiang?
11. Yeah, they didn't have English class. And the kids in Changsha are already way more advanced. So I had to learn that. And on top of that, I had to learn.
Well, you really showed them. I mean, I met lots of people from Changsha. They don't speak as good of English as you do. So,
Oh, thanks. On top of that, I had to learn their dialect too. I had to learn how to speak
湖南话.
Hunan Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Can you speak like a native now?
Yeah, I can speak really well. Hunan
So you do have a knack for language, basically, it feels like.
I probably, yes, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, do you speak any other dialects?
Yeah. My grandpa speaks Shanxi Hua. He's from Shanxi. I can kind of speak that.
Wow. All right. We talked offline about how you learned English, but I'd love for you to tell others how you did it.
Oh, yeah. When I was 15, 16 years old, there was no internet, there was no social media. Also, like China was especially Hunan, it's like fairly isolated. You don't get much information about the world outside. I didn't have Western music, but I was really, really curious. I was found out there's a black market for Western music. For the people who don't know, here's an explanation. I try to make it as simple as possible. So, like back in the days, America used to pay China to take its plastic garbage,
Yeah.
and they would
白色垃圾。
they would buy Salaji exactly. They would pay China and ship like tons of plastic trash to China. China just take them, but also in the trash, there's like plastics, cassettes and CDs.
Yeah.
So there will be people in Shenzhen, especially Shenzhen, Guangzhou, right, the coast areas, the port cities. They would smuggle these CDs into like black market and sell them. Um,
Yeah.
so there's a very small group. I call it a subculture of Asian use, Chinese use, uh, who would go to these black markets and buy these CDs, and that's their only window to like Western music. I was lucky. I was one of the only kids in my high school that knew about this shit. So we started like listening to a lot of American bands, European bands, rock and roll. There's a bunch of rock and rolls, a bunch of metal, heavy metal, death metal, anything, pretty much anything we can get our hands on. We like just soak everything at that age. It's like a fucking sponge, we're just soaking everything.
Would you say? I mean, you weren't listening to like Celine Dion, right? Like it, it was pretty avant-garde.
Well, I mean, Celine Dion, you can find it in a regular Chinese record store.
Okay.
Well, I think she's one of the few Western artists that was already accepted
Yeah.
in the Chinese market. Celine Dion, NSYNC, and Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls, Michael Jackson. We know all of those.
I can't imagine you secretly going to some black market just to listen to Britney Spears. Hit me, baby, one more time.
Nah. Nah.
It's got to be more edgy than that, right? So like rock and roll, death metal, and then you said, oh, did you say rap or hip hop?
Just a little bit of that. I would say it was much later though. I listened to rap when I was in college. When I was in college, yeah, at Wu Tang Clan.
So when you listen to that music, obviously you enjoyed the artistic value,
Yeah,
and then you sought to emulate or perhaps to study it, and that's why you had to pick up English as a result.
yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, that's some songs, not death metals, obviously, but certain songs you can sing along. You can learn the way they pronounce certain words.
Yeah.
You can learn certain slangs. There's a lot of slangs in rock and roll music.
But after you learn all that, do you get a chance to perform, or is it just in your head?
That was just in my head, but in college we had English teachers that were from the United States, so you get to like talk to them. They're also like music fans. You get to talk rock and roll music with them.
Are you talking about college now or high school?
Yeah, college we had American teachers that Wuhan back in the days, my college days, we call it a city of punk rock.
Wuhan, really? The city of punk rock?
Yeah, there used to be a lot of good punk rock bands.
Oh, Chinese punk rock bands?
Yeah, yeah.
Would you say is Laolang or Datang considered punk rock?
No, 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 no. You got. I'll send it to you. 生命之饼, SMZB. That's a band from Wuhan.
生命之饼.
Yeah,
I have never heard this.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's a lot of good punk rock bands. I remember like going to underground like music scenes, bars, performances in Wuhan. There's lots of.
Okay. So you're very much plugged into this whole cultural genre back then and very plugged into American culture as a result.
Yeah. So when I came to the States when I was 25, people were very surprised like how much I know about their music, especially music and movies.
I mean, I am very surprised.
Like, we thought you were like a spy or something because there's no way you just like got off the plane and you sound like the way you sound.
A spy that does stand-up comedy. It's Hollywood material.
That's funny.
Fundraiser show tonight for a nonprofit organization that teaches Asian women self-defense kung fu. We have an instructor that taught us like a bunch of kung fu moves, And then at the end of the thing, he just gave us, everyone, a pepper spray. I'm like, what are we paying you for? Like, all these proceeds should go to buying pepper spray. Right? Like, are you saying all these Asian, like, secret kung fu moves are not as effective as our Asian spices? Like, yeah, we gotta marinate these racist attackers.
I was in Alabama, right?
Oh boy. What are you doing in Alabama, by the way?
I went to college in Alabama.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right.
Yeah. I lived in Alabama for 5 years.
Okay.
There's a big Air Force base in Alabama, and they actually caught a North Korean spy
Oh, wow.
in that Air Force base who was in that base for like 10 years. He disguised as a portrait painter. And he used to paint portraits for all these high-ranking, military officials.
Yeah, that's like a typical North Korean job. That's like one of the better. They pay well. There's no shortage of demand for that shit. All right. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
It's funny we're talking about spies. You'd be surprised. There's spies.
Okay. All right. So you're in Alabama, and
Yeah.
what was it like going to school in Alabama as yourself?
Well, it was eye-opening.
Yeah.
It was lots of fun. I was never a good student in school, like in China. I guess I had to be when you had to like spend that much money and travel along by yourself, cross the ocean. Kind of had to be.
Yeah. You came all by yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, I did all right, but there's also cultural shock, considering Alabama is the first place that I go to.
Did you find Alabama too backward?
But there's a lot of things that I didn't understand, but it did seem like, at least like financially and like infrastructure, I felt like it was very backwards. Because I used to live in Shanghai before I
Yeah.
moved to America, so it's a huge difference.
You're moving from Shanghai
Yeah.
to Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, when you went off the plane, and as soon as you get off the plane, you can just hop on a taxi. That tells you something, right? It's like, man, this is not a real airport. When I first landed, it's like, beep beep, but you got to walk down the stairs, and you can just hop on to a taxi, like right there.
If I had 10 connecting flights from Shanghai to Alabama, there was probably no direct flight.
No direct flight. First stop I made was actually Dallas. So the first city I landed in America was Dallas.
Were people friendly to you when you were in college?
Alabama, yeah, most of them are very, very friendly. I would say more so than any other places.
Interesting. John Oliver has this line, Alabama is the South of the South. Yeah, but I don't know. It seems like a lot of people are giving me impressions that their personal experience in southern states as a minority or a foreigner has generally been pretty positive.
I mean, they have the Southern hospitality thing going on. It's nice in a way that they treat you like a guest.
Yeah,
It's nice if you just get there, right?
yeah.
But it's not as nice of a feeling once you were there for like a few years. You're like, I'm still a guest. I'll never be the host.
Oh,
Because we say hospitality, right? 客气. The word 客气 implies you're the guest.
right. You're the tourist.
The word hospitality implies you're the guest.
Because they're like, this guy's leaving soon.
Yeah. I was there for 5 years. They'll always treat you like a guest.
Well, let's explore that a little bit, right? So I totally get what you're saying. You arrived and they're like, okay, look at this skinny Asian kid. Let's be nice to this person. But then a few years later, they're still like, oh, look at this skinny Asian person. He's a foreigner. How did you feel that you were still treated as a guest a few years in? And what was that not positive?
How did it feel? I mean, it just feels like I'm never part of it. I mean, I have friends, some really good friends in Alabama. I feel like they were the only ones that accepted me. Pretty much everywhere I go, it feels like I don't belong.
Okay. But it couldn't be a language barrier, right? Was it more like just when you were talking to people at social occasions, you could feel the feeling of like people are not just being warm. People are not looking to find out more about you.
Right.
People are not looking to include you in activities.
Exactly.
Was it like that?
Exactly. Then, like dating or, forget about dating and all that kind of stuff, right? They don't,
Okay.
just generally don't accept you as part of
Yeah.
them,
Were things a little bit different when you went to Atlanta?
I was a little bit different. I did feel more included. First, it wasn't. At first, it was more lonely. It was more lonely. I felt like because it's big city. I missed Alabama when I first moved to Atlanta. I thought, man, I miss my friends.
By the way, it wasn't very diverse, right? It wasn't. It was mostly white.
It was very diverse. It was very diverse.
It was very diverse.
Atlanta is very diverse.
No. I was sorry. I was talking about Alabama. Alabama was not diverse at all.
Oh, it was not, but it was. I would say it was probably more diverse than you think it is.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of Korean people. First of all, there's a lot of Korean people in Alabama.
All right.
The Hyundai plant is in Alabama. Kia plant is in Georgia. So both states have a big Korean populations.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. No, but Atlanta totally diverse. Did you have a lot of African American friends?
Yeah. I mean, not a whole lot, but several.
Yeah, I think English is cute though. You got some 26 letters in your alphabet and you made an entire language. I'm jealous. Like my ancestors were a bunch of overachievers. They decided to make a language with 50,000 characters. Yeah, 50,000. You know what that means to us? That means we can never have an alphabet song in Chinese. It'll be the longest song ever. You play that song with a musical chair. You're gonna drill a hole in the ground and end up in America. It's a different kind of border crossing. And if there ever is a Chinese alphabet song, I would use that song to my advantage. Like I would definitely play that song at a strip club and get a lap dance for that song. I think you guys call that getting the best bang for your buck. It's not very fun for the dancers though. Like imagine somebody had to dance for hours to the Chinese alphabet song. Just Hey honey, that's the end of my shift, all right? Diamond, you're up next. Oh my God, it's that Chinese guy again. Golden chopsticks, samurai sword, Mario Brothers, Dragon Ball Z. It's gonna take 3 shifts to finish my lap dance.
Cool. Well, how do you like living in the States compared to your previous life in China?
I like it. I enjoy the freedom. Can I say like certain aspects, right? The freedom of speech,
Yeah.
freedom of press, but also I don't want to make it sound like America's a free country, China's not a free country.
Mm-hmm.
The way I see it is like you can enjoy a different type of freedom in China. It's not the same type of freedom that you have here, but like back home, at least when I was there, right? I'm talking about 10, 11 years ago, right? When I was here, you live in China, it was safe.
Yeah.
First of all, it was safe. You get to go out, especially if you live in the cities. You get to go out like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. You get stuff to do. There's stuff to do. You get places to eat. You can go to karaoke. You're gonna go to a bar. You can like walk in the middle of a dark alley. Nobody would mess with you. Nobody has a gun. Even the police don't have a gun. Nobody have to worry about somebody like shoot you or rob you. To me, that is a huge freedom, right? That is a huge freedom. I mean, what could be more important than the freedom of feeling safe, right? The freedom of feeling my life is not in danger. I
Yeah.
think that's a huge freedom. Yeah, I do enjoy both countries. In America, I mean, it's different types of freedoms. That's how I would describe it.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like you're fairly paranoid about gun violence where you're at. Would you say that's the case?
Yeah, well, it's just unfortunate that past 2 years I've lost two friends
Wow.
over gun violence. Last year, a friend of mine, a black guy, black cowboy actually, he was a real cowboy that works on a ranch. He was robbed at gunpoint outside of his house, and he had a gun. He fired back, shot one of the robbers, but he also got shot. Survived that gun wound, but later died of the complication like 2 months later.
Oh
Not even
man.
2 months, yeah. That was one friend, and then another friend of mine. He's Korean guy, is a little bit older than me. He's kind of like a big brother, older brother to me. He was also shot and killed 4 hours. It was literally last month. It was not even a month ago.
Oh man. Sorry to hear.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
That's yeah.
Is that a Texan thing, do you think?
Sure, it is.
Yeah, I don't hear a lot about things like that amongst my friends and relatives out here.
But I heard Bay Area the way, at least the way I see it in the media, there's lots of crimes. There's lots of crimes in the Bay Area, right?
Oh, definitely. Yes, there's lots of crime. In California, if you rob a store and you take less than $950 worth of goods, it's considered a misdemeanor. So it's like a slap on the wrist if you get caught by the cops, but you won't get prosecuted.
Gosh.
So there's now organizations that go out and rob luxury branded goods stores. Like Walgreens have closed. Many CVS's Walgreens have closed in San Francisco as a result.
Jesus.
Yeah. And carjacking, there's tens of carjackings every day on average in San Francisco.
That's crazy.
I mean, people are giving each other suggestions of when you drive to San Francisco, roll down your windows so people can see there's nothing valuable in it and they won't destroy your window. Yeah. Well, have you been watching 脱口秀大会 in China at all?
Pieces of it I saw on videos, some clips on YouTube, especially the old ones. Right? What's that guy's name? Uyghur Muslim guy?
Kamu.
Kamu. Yeah. Kamu. He's funny.
Yeah. Well, you know he got banned, right?
He smoke weed?
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, I heard about that. That's crazy. Is he still around though? Is he still performing though?
I mean, he's probably, I don't know. I assume he's getting booked by clubs.
Offline.
Yeah, offline. But I mean, it's very strict now, actually. This kind of stuff you can talk about. So my friend was trying to do a bit, I think, in a comedy club in Shanghai, and he's gay. So he wanted to talk about gay stuff, and he wasn't allowed to. So
What?
yeah, so there's a lot of self-censorship.
There goes 90% of my act. It's so backwards, so awkward.
I'm just saying, yeah, you can't make this stuff up, right? It's real. Do you ever listen to some of the 脱口秀大会 stuff among the champions? You're just like, this guy's actually not that funny. Like, why is everyone laughing? Or this girl is not that funny.
Oh, yeah. I hear stuff and I'm like, well, this guy's a hack. Well, he just probably heard somebody in America and just like lifted his act. I mean, not saying he stole their jokes, but
Who, like Yang Bo? Do you know who that is?
I don't know his name, but he was doing Anthony Jeselnik, right?
Oh, that's Yang Bo.
Yeah.
I have a picture of him, the way he's holding the mic, that looks exactly like the way Anthony Jeselnik holds the mic. And there's one joke, or there's one segment where he talks about how he's trying to work his family into these jokes. And Anthony Jeselnik did the exact same thing. I mean, so it's not a carbon copy, but I think it's very clear that he's imitating the guy.
Yeah.
Who among Western or non-Chinese comedians do you think is overrated? Or who do you think is not as funny as other people think? I'll tell you mine. I'll start. I don't really get Dave Chappelle, to be honest.
Okay.
Like I know he's funny. I find some of his stuff funny,
Yeah,
but not all his material. And I would say,
yeah.
yeah, a majority of the material I actually don't enjoy that
Okay,
much.
okay. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you use the word overrated, for sure, he should be one of them, right? Like his special was $33 million. If you're talking about overrated in like financial term, I forgot who said this. Maybe Gary Goldman. It's like, yeah, this guy got paid $33 million for a special. What does that cost? What is that like? 11 millions per joke.
That's a good one. $11 million joke. 3 jokes the entire set. I like that. I mean, I guess just people all have different tastes. I enjoy Ellen DeGeneres. I like Jim Gaffigan. They're relatively clean.
I love Jim Gaffigan. Yes.
Yeah, I was talking to people in the comedy club, and they're like, Ellen DeGeneres can suck my dick because she's not funny at all. Jim Gaffigan can suck my dick. He's just terrible. I'm like, what?
What are you talking about? Jim Gaffigan is not terrible. Oh my God. I feel like Jim Gaffigan is one of those people who, even if you don't enjoy him, even if you don't like him as much,
Yeah.
there's no denial in his skill. You got to still give it to them, right? His skills, his comedic skill, his writing. Come on.
Yeah, the one other person I don't really get. I don't think this person's overrated, but it's just someone that's so popular that I'm like, okay, maybe I'll like him too, but I don't. It's Seinfeld. Actually.
Seinfeld. Yeah.
Oh, I love Dan Cook, but Jerry Seinfeld. But Jerry Seinfeld, I love Dan Cook, right? But Jerry Seinfeld, it's like I don't know. I mean, it actually his stuff makes me think. Let's put it that way. But it's not the stuff that makes my mouth sore,
Oh.
like from laughing.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. 'Cause you gotta be, yeah, you're saying some smart shit. Why would I care if you're just talking about airplane? Does it really matter to you? You gotta tell me where's your personal stake, right? You gotta tell me why you care, and then I would care to listen. Like Richard Pryor, like they call it confessional style of comedy. More personal, it's more vulnerable. And that's like the new school of comedy.
Yeah. Well, do you have an example of somebody that you don't find as funny, whereas everyone else does?
Joe Rogan, good example.
No, Rogan's not funny, man. Like I enjoy his podcasts. Yeah,
Yeah,
but his
yeah. His
I mean,
stand-up is not.
his stand-up feels as long as his podcasts.
Dang. But it's not as long though.
I'll probably never make it in the field. I've already offended all the heavyweights. So, Peng, so I gotta ask you this, right? So I found you through watching Kill Tony, and there's that whole episode, that incident with you
Mhm.
introducing Tony and then subsequently him coming on stage to perform
Yeah.
when he just spewed out a lot of hateful rhetoric
Yeah.
that someone would characterize if you were a bystander.
Mhm.
And you responded to it by posting that clip on your Twitter account or Instagram account.
Yeah.
And that triggered a lot of, let's just say, discussions.
Yeah.
How was that? Well, first of all, did I do justice in recalling that incident? Was there anything I missed?
No. That's pretty much what happened, and that's pretty much how everybody found out about me.
Give it up for the one and only Tony Hinchcliffe.
Hello, good evening, welcome, hello. How about one more time for the filthy little fucking chink that was just up here? While all you fucking race traitors are whooping and hollering, I'm back there watching you puking in a fucking bucket. Oh, we making a gunpowder. Oh, you want extra soy sauce. Oh, you borrow money from us. And you guys just eating it up, you fucking pussy.
Yeah, but how was this experience for you?
I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible experience. But I'm just glad we spoke up.
Yeah.
Then I don't regret it. The rest is history.
What do you think he said? What he said? I actually watched a few episodes of Kill Tony before and after that incident, and it didn't feel like he was actually saying those things in Kill Tony, even either before or after.
Oh, no. What? Yeah, right. Because it's on the internet, right? He cannot. He actually said that word. Actually, I've seen it. After the incident. Somebody posted a clip from Kill Tony where he actually said that word on the show.
This was after he knew about this?
This was before. This was way before. It was an old clip.
You're talking about the C word for Chinese people?
Yeah.
Was he referring to a Chinese person, like a comedian? Or was he just referring to Chinese people out of context?
Yeah, I think it was somebody that was on stage.
Okay. To be honest with you, if he had just apologized afterwards, it would have been fine. Like everyone makes mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah,
And
of course. I mean, at least when the media is reaching out for comments, there was no comments, there was no response, there was no public acknowledge, there was no public
yeah.
apology, right?
I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, so one other favorite comedians of mine is that British guy, Ricky Gervais. Like, I find him hilarious, right? But in one of his recent sets on Netflix, he used the word Chinaman. I don't know if you know about this. Yeah, I don't think anyone called him out, and he certainly didn't get canceled for it. I definitely did not feel good when he mentioned the word,
Right.
but somehow I was still able to enjoy the rest of his set. But that definitely left a somewhat of a bad taste in my mouth.
For sure.
I'm starting to reevaluate this whole idea of you should be able to joke about anything. It just depends on what the joke is. And also this whole attitude of why can't people take a joke? Like if you don't like it, just turn it off. Because I think there should be some limit to what can be said, because
It always is.
speech is not violence, but harmful ideas can spread and can accumulate and cause bad results.
Sure, and there's freedom of speech also doesn't mean freedom of consequences, right? They said the wrong thing, you piss off the wrong people. There could be consequences. There could be financial consequences.
I mean, I think the point is there's 1,000 ways to make a joke, is the point. Like, why go down the route of using the C word, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Can't you be funny and be classy at the same time? So, like, I watched the whole Tony Hinchcliffe rant, right? And it was very clear he was responding to you kind of making fun of America as being indebted to China, right? Like owing lots of debt
Yeah.
to China. So I could feel as a blue-blooded American or whatever, you might have a visceral reaction to that and you want to defend your own country. I guess that's fine, but do you really have to resort to name calling, you see?
Right.
So
That would be completely fine had he just not said that word, It'd be completely fine.
Yeah.
I can take his insult. I can take his roast.
yeah. All right. Well, Peng, so what's the next step for you? Are you trying to grow your social following? Are you trying to do more performances? What are your near-term objectives as far as your comedy career goes?
This year, I've already started headlining certain clubs, doing longer sets.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm trying to make the right connections, build the right materials so I can do longer sets. Trying to build like more of a universal materials or set for the rest of the country. If I can like eventually get to travel for comedy and maybe
Yeah.
do longer sets other states, that would be my current goal.
Have you ever considered telling jokes in Chinese at all? There's actually a lot of Chinese comedians now and a lot of Chinese comedy clubs and organizations
Yeah, I mean,
popping up all around the country. I would be surprised if there's not one in Dallas right now, to be honest. You should check
I
it out,
have no
actually.
idea. Yeah, if I can do comedy in Chinese, I would love to do it.
Any last word to aspiring comics out there?
Here's a conversation I had when I met Ronnie Chieng. I mean, we were not friends. We're not friends, and he probably don't even remember me anymore. I was just starting out comedy, and I watched him, and obviously talked to him. Ask him, I'm in Dallas. I'm like, there's no Asian people around in comedy, and there's no Asian people in the audience.
Yeah.
I'm like the only person, so there's no way for me to gauge if my material's good. I guess people would tell me, "Oh, you're being so Asian. All you talk about is being Asian. Why can't you just talk about being a normal person?" I'm like, Asians are normal people too. So I guess I was trying to ask him, is my material too Asian or is it not Asian enough?
Yeah.
And he says you can be as Asian as you want to. Don't listen to other people. You're the person who gets to decide if you want to talk about Asian stuff or not.
Okay.
And it actually helps because I see him like doing Chinese jokes, representing Chinese cultures, even though he's not even from China, right? He's
not.
Chinese Malaysian.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for me to not talk about my culture, right? I guess I shouldn't feel ashamed. I shouldn't shy away from those types of materials. So yeah, if you're Asian American, if you're Chinese comedian out there, don't be shy. Don't shy away from who you are. Yeah, just do you. Be as authentic as you can.
Awesome. Well, couldn't think of a better way to end. Thanks, Paul, for that message.
All right. Hey, yes. Good talking to you, man.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Paul.
Bye.